Okay, we're good to go. We can start.
Good morning, thank you. We'll call this meeting to order. And let's start with our roll call. Please.
Okay. Ignacio Alegre,
Here.
Brent Bisley,
Here.
David Elliott,
Here.
Simon Gonzalez,
Here.
Jack Haley. Jack, can you hear us?
Yeah, here.
Thank
Sorry.
you. Margie Nitter,
Here.
Maria Rosa Lopez,
Here.
Enrique Perez,
Here.
Robert Ruiz, Patrick Cortes, Stacy Sanchez,
Here.
Christine Snapper,
Here.
Robert Tucker,
Here.
Bridget Cabana,
Here.
Johanna Rivera, Daisy Campos,
Here.
Pierre Loubet. See here. And Dennis Barnum.
Present.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, well, let's do our Pledge of Allegiance. I don't know where your nearest flag is, but try to imagine it's there. And I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
One nation,
under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so that's sort of like everybody singing happy birthday on Zoom, right? Nobody's the same, but it's the point that counts. All right, so do we have any public comments at this time?
We do not have any public comments.
All right, so let's move on to our consent calendar. 4 items in our consent calendar. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
So
That was
moved.
Brent with the first. I need a second.
Second.
That was Bob. Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to accept the consent calendar items. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Let's move on to our business calendar. We have a couple of items here, both involving the item 5 and item 6 involving the transference of funds. Can I have Deborah sort of address that for us, and perhaps we could look at it as one motion, if that's acceptable?
I don't think we could do them as one. If we can take them individually, item 5 is separate from item 6. Item 5 is to designate the Santa Ana Workforce Development Board to allow us to do the career services in-house versus privatizing that or doing an RFP. So under the Workforce Investment Act, the city was able to request to do career services in-house because of its past record and past performance. Our funding is in such a way that we're a smaller workforce board, and I've found others struggling to try and find organizations to do the career services that would be profitable for them to do it. With the past history of Carlos de la Riva and the case managers teams, they've always met or exceeded the performance standards that the state has allowed us to continue career services in-house. It's been 4 years, and so the state has requested each workforce development board to submit their plan on how to deliver career services. And I am recommending that the workforce board submit paperwork to the state to continue doing career services in-house. They've continued to meet the new performance standards under WIOA, And on the second page of the action item is a list of the goals and what they've met. So we have the goals and the actuals, and they've exceeded all but one area, but they've exceeded it the subsequent year. So with that, I need action from the board to authorize me to submit the paperwork to the state to keep the career services in-house.
So moved.
I
Okay.
second.
Thank you, Brent.
I
and
think
Thank you,
we've
Maria
all-
Rosa.
Yeah,
I have a
think we've
question.
all been very pleased with Carlos's performance, and I don't know that any of us were aware that that's something that we could have outsourced. So I'm not surprised that the quick motions. Bob, I'm sorry, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, just a quick question. Deborah, does this have any change of effect on how the youth council does business?
No, it does not. This is for adult and dislocated workers only.
Okay.
Youth providers, we still need to procure that. And so that's why we have subcontractors for the youth.
Okay.
We're not allowed
Thank
to do that in-house.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion to accept the recommendation and a second. No further discussion, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Stacy, for clarification, Brent motion and Maria Rosa second. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yes.
That's correct.
Thank you.
Anybody opposed? Anybody abstaining? Okay, the motion passes. Okay, well, let's move on to number 6. And again, I'm going to ask Deborah to just highlight this for us.
Right, item 6 is a request to transfer some of our adult funds to our dislocated worker funds. With COVID, obviously we had more layoffs and furloughs than we anticipated. We received a higher dollar amount in our adult dislocated workers, which is generally working with our low-income families. But because of the 15% unemployment last year, we had a greater demand for those that were laid off seeking work. And so we're asking to move monies between adult and dislocated worker. And it takes an action of the workforce board before I can submit that request to the state. By law, we can move 100% between adult and dislocated worker to meet the needs of our community. But staff is asking to move $150,000 to cover some training expenses that we're anticipating to come through for the dislocated worker individuals. And I think I wrote the percentage. It's 18% that we're wanting to move.
Brent's
Brent's
got
up
a
first.
first.
I second.
Daisy second.
Daisy for second. Yep. Okay, I think that's pretty straightforward. I'm pretty sure we're all aware of why we have a abundance of dislocated workers right now. So there's a motion and a second. Any questions or further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Thank you so much. And our last item on the business calendar, number 7. I know all of you are anxiously waiting to nominate yourselves for the election of officers for our Workforce Investment Board. We need to elect a chair and a vice chair for from the private sector to serve for this next term. Just as a side note, I am expecting to relocate at the end of the summer or so, so I may be good for another year, but and hopefully that will work out, but that's probably all I'm good for. So all of you out there thinking about it, this would be your time to step up. So do we have any nominations?
I thought the chairmanship was mobile.
I agree.
Well, it would be if we zoomed forever, but I think we'll be returning to in person about the time that I'll be coming in and out of town, so to speak.
Okay.
So with that, I guess I'll take over the meeting briefly, Stacy, unless Bianca wants to take it over. But we'd like to ask for nominations for the chair for the Workforce Development Board. It would be from July to June 30th of next year. And so nominations are now open for a chair of the Workforce Board. You can nominate yourself, or you can nominate someone that you wish. Nominations can come from all the boards, all the members. It doesn't need to be from the private sector, but per law, only the chair and vice chair can be from a private sector seat.
Nominate Stacy for another term.
Any other nominations? Stacy, do you accept the nomination?
I accept the nomination. And I'm going to nominate Dave Elliott as vice chair.
Good choice.
Any other nominations? Anyone else would like to be considered for this round?
Well, yeah, Stacy, you heard earlier he was on a different call, so he can't accept or deny the nomination. So perfect timing.
I agree. And that's how we got it last time.
Okay, I'm going to close the nominations. If I can have a first and a second to approve the slate and appoint as chair and vice chair, Stacy Sanchez as chair and Dave Elliott as vice chair for a 1-year term.
So moved.
Second.
And the second was,
Oh, good
Bob
question.
Tucker.
I think I'll take Bridget. Is that okay, Bob?
Absolutely.
Bridget second. So
For a
that
little variety there.
Bianca can get that recorded.
Got it. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any objections or opposed? And no abstentions? Okay, it passes. Thank you very much. Thank you, Stacy. Thank you, Dave Elliott.
Well, be prepared that Deborah or I will be reaching out to you just to sort of chat with you a little bit about what does it mean to be chair. I think some of you think it's, a lot more than it is. Deborah's so easy to work with. It's just been a pleasure. So I do encourage you all to think about it, because hopefully I'll make it through the year, but just in case, you could be asked to step up. So, all right. So thank you. That's the end of our business calendar. We are going to move into our work study session, where we do have a presentation by Judson Brown and Santa Ana Housing Division. Deborah, can you make that introduction for us?
Yes. This past year has been a very hectic year. Our housing division is normally busy, but the last 12 to 15 months, their busyness just went up about 200%. But sometimes there's a lot of value in workforce and housing to work together. And in this past year, it's never been more important. And so I was talking to Judson recently, and I was like, I think it would be informative for the workforce board to hear the work that Section 8 staff does, but also the additional work that they rolled out this year and when they received the COVID CARES monies. And now the latest round of federal funds that came out in December, and I don't know if it's called ARPA or I forget how you phrase it, but I wanted to introduce Judson Brown and his team, and he can present to what the city of Santa Ana has done to serve the residents of Santa Ana, as well as the landowners and tenant or property owners here in Santa Ana to assist our families who were impacted by COVID. So Judson, if you could say hello, and we'll get the screens shared for you and your team there.
Terrific. Thank you so much, Deborah. And thank you very much, Mark and Deborah, for the opportunity to present to the board today. We really appreciate this opportunity to talk about the work that we're doing to provide emergency rental assistance and eviction prevention assistance to the community in response to this pandemic. As you may know, we have a long-standing relationship with the Work Center through our Section 8 program, and have hosted, the Work Center has hosted our family self-sufficiency program for over 3 or 4 years now, in a very, very successful partnership in transitioning families on our Section 8 program to self-sufficiency. Well, today I'm here to talk about our emergency rental assistance efforts that started last May, just after the start of the pandemic. And I'm going to go ahead and pull up our slideshow here. 1 second. Sorry, I forgot to say, I'm joined here by Mikhail Daly and Marcela Marquez.
Hello, everyone.
Maricela administers our Cares for Tenants program, which is our emergency rental assistance program, and Mikkel administers and manages our SAVES program, which is our eviction prevention program, which we'll be talking about today. So pulling up our presentation here. Again, we'll be presenting our emergency rental assistance and eviction prevention program. Well, I just put the slide. I've just put these slides together this morning. We're incredibly busy, so forgive me if there's some slides I skip over or some errors in our presentation. But high level overview of the amount of funding that our city has received for emergency rental assistance. So we've received roughly $3.4 million from our Community Development Block Grant Coronavirus Funds, which was a direct allocation from the city from the CARES Act. And then we received $1.6 million from the State of California Coronavirus Relief Funds, which was a direct allocation to the state from for the city that was made possible through the CARES Act that was adopted last March. And if you recall, this $1.6 million was a part of I believe it was over 20. I can't remember, $20 million or so that the city received in CARES Act funds that we launched our CARES response effort last August. And so this was our allocation from the city's $20 million. And then most recently, we have received $9.8 million in ERA funds, emergency rental assistance funds, which this was our first allocation, and it was a direct allocation to us from the Department of Treasury, and it was made possible from the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2021 that was adopted by Congress on December 27th. And then the state also received an allocation designated for the city of Santa Ana from that Consolidated Appropriations Act in the amount of $10.6 million. And then following the approval of the American Rescue Plan Act on March 12th, 2021, we received a new allocation, an additional allocation of emergency rental assistance program funds in the amount of $14 million. And we don't know the direct allocation to the state of California that's designated for the city from that second allocation from the ARPA, the American Rescue Plan Act funds. But so far, in total, our allocation of emergency rental assistance program funds for the city of Santa Ana is $39.5 million. So with those funds, we have been administering our Cares for Tenants program, which Maricela manages, since May 2020. So we've been doing this for over a year now in providing emergency rental assistance for Santa Ana residents. These funds are designated for families who have a COVID-19 related financial impact, financial hardship impacting their ability to pay rent. And they have to prove that they've lost income or have increased expenses due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And there's income eligibility requirements. So the household must not make more than 80% of our area median income. The application is available online. It's also, there's physical applications that are available, and we could also mail the application to families, which I'll touch on a little later. The application itself has a couple different working parts, a couple different working components, valid photo ID, landlord's information, copies of their lease or sublease agreement, copy of a declaration to their landlord verifying their inability to pay rent, and their verification of income eligibility, such as paycheck stubs, W-2s, or other wage statements. How does it work? So families can apply online to receive a one-time assistance payment in the form of a $5,500 payment to their landlord. The assistance is used to pay their rent owed, their back rent, before it's paid, before it goes to pay their prospective rent. And we've partnered with 4 different organizations to administer this program. So we have a team of 4 different partners who we're working with right now in the Salvation Army, Catholic Charities of Orange County, Latino Health Access, and Families Forward, who are administering this emergency rental assistance program on our behalf. The 4 partners approve and determine eligibility of families who apply for that program for that one-time assistance of $5,500. And then once they're approved for assistance, then the payments are made by our partners at the United Way of Orange County. The applications, while we do, families that are eligible are below 80% AMI, we do prioritize families who earn 50% AMI and below, which is our very low income households in the city of Santa Ana. And we do select applications on a first come, first served basis. We have many applications in process, but we have many applications who are also waiting for assistance. I think as of yesterday, it was 509 applications waiting for assistance, and over 450 applications are currently in process of being determined eligible. We do assign applications once a week to our partner organizations to process and determine their eligibility. I just said this again about eligibility here, that the family has to be impacted by COVID-19, have a current lease or sublease agreement, and be a resident of the city of Santa Ana, and that they qualify as a low income family, or they can demonstrate their risk of experiencing homelessness or housing instability, and they've qualified for unemployment benefits or experienced a reduction in household income. And again, that's the web page address for families to apply. I'm going to just go ahead. I like to pull up the web page address. I want to show you what that web page looks like. So hold on here. And you'll see here our webpage address has all the program documents, including our program flyers, program guidelines, frequently asked questions, different forms that we use for the program, and everything's translated into Spanish and English, Spanish, and Vietnamese. We have 3 videos explaining how-to videos explaining how to apply for the $5,500 in assistance, and then we have all of our contact information and of course the apply online button here. Here's the income limits if you're curious about what those income limits actually look like. Again, low income families below 80% AMI, that a family is eligible, but priority for families who earn less than 50% AMI. And so for families of 4, it's $67,250 as a priority, and for family of 4, if they earn below $107,550, they would qualify for assistance. Let's see here. Like I mentioned, the application is available online. They can be requested directly from our 4 partner organizations. We also have like I said, building upon our longstanding partnership with the Work Center for our Housing Authority services. We also have a partnership with our Work Center team and Carlos and his tremendous staff, who are assisting families to apply online to submit an application. We have many families who don't have a computer at home and don't have lack the capacity and ability to submit an online application. And so through the tremendous services of Carlos and his team, families can contact our Work Center and schedule an appointment to apply online directly. Carlos, do you want to touch on how that partnership has been going?
Thank you, Judson. Yeah, you know, it's a service that is greatly needed in the community. As much as we are trying to provide services remotely, there's a great sector in the community that doesn't have the ability to be able to provide, to be able to submit applications online. So they come here to the work center. It was extremely busy at the beginning. Now it's kind of slowing down, but those folks that do come here are extremely grateful for the city providing this kind of assistance.
Terrific, terrific. And thank you again, Carlos, for that partnership. It was a side note here, it was last minute. We asked Carlos a week before our program launch, hey, can you enter into a partnership with us? And their resounding response was, yes, we want to help. So thank you again for that partnership. For the program, in terms of our application process, so we initially launched the program in May 2020 and opened the program for 2 weeks, the application process for 2 weeks. And then we reopened the application on August 17th. And since then, we actually have not closed our application process. And if you know, or if of a family who needs rental assistance, we do encourage them to apply. We are trying to get the information out there for eligible families to apply. And we've continued to receive and process applications since August 17th. And as we said, we have 509 applications waiting for assistance. We do have, as you saw in the numbers above with the $39.5 million, we have enough assistance to help everybody who has applied so far. So we are going to get to a point in the next couple of months where we're going to be seeking applications to spend down these funds in order to assist more renters in Santa Ana, so that no dollar goes unspent and redistributed elsewhere in the country. And what's been our progress to date? So we have assisted over 1,800 families so far. We are going to pass that 2,000 threshold very quickly here in the next couple of weeks, and we continue to push forward with our partners at the Salvation Army, Catholic Charities, Latino Health Access, and Families Forward. On a side note, a sidebar here, we did administer a program directly for landlords, and we are going to be relaunching this program in the next couple weeks. This was called our Cares for Landlords program, and the program began on August 17th and ended December 15th. With this program, we were actually paying the entire past due rent that was owed from tenants who had been financially impacted by COVID-19 dating back to April 1st through an 80-20 partnership where we would pay 80% of the rental arrears due to the landlord as long as they forgave the remaining 20%. And landlords who participated agreed not to increase the rent for that unit for 6 more months, not to assess late fees for past due rent, and not to evict for 6 months from the date of our grant agreement. It was a very successful program. These numbers are included in the other numbers that you saw above, and we dispersed $1.1 million to 45 different residential property owners to assist 323 households in paying their past due rent. Total of $285,000 was forgiven by the private market by landlords who participated, and that funding came from that coronavirus relief funds that we mentioned above, that was provided by the city, designated for the city from the state of California. Here's some very happy families whose back rent was completely paid off through this program. And we're not only investing $39.5 million in emergency rental assistance for our community, but we are also simultaneously investing in eviction prevention assistance. Mikkel administers our eviction prevention assistance program called the SAVES program, which we launched on February 1st. and invested $5.5 million in this program to ensure that families would not become homeless as a result of this pandemic. We launched the program on the same day that the state of California was, I think maybe a month later, right? A month after the state of California had extended their eviction moratorium to June 30th. But with the end of that eviction moratorium, we do anticipate this program to really ramp up our operations. We've always considered this program to be our long-term effort to ensure that families don't become homeless and are not evicted during this pandemic. The SAVES program is specifically for households threatened by eviction and that have received an eviction notice. And the program can provide up to 12 months of rental assistance based on need for those families who are threatened by eviction. The eligibility is, there's some similarities to the emergency rental assistance program, but the key difference here is number 4, right? The household has been notified in writing that their right to occupy their current housing will be terminated, meaning they've received an eviction notice or an email or a text notification telling them to move out of their unit. Number 5 is that they would, if they were evicted, they would become homeless, need to move into a homeless shelter, or need to move into shared housing quarters because they have no other available housing options. Here's our flyer on the program. We have this flyer in Spanish, English, and Vietnamese. The application, again, very easy application process. The webpage is www.santa-ana.org/saves. We start with the pre-application process, and then once families do confirm that they are eligible through that pre-application process, then we go into a full application. We do provide assistance in completing the application through a partnership we established with 211 Orange County for this program. Families can call 211. They can also call the Salvation Army, or they can call the city for assistance in completing the pre-application. And what happens after the family completes that application? Well, then they're asked to complete a full application showing their copies of photo IDs, their proof of income, proof of loss of income, their copies of their lease or sublease agreement. And then number 7 is the big one, right? The copy of the eviction notice or the notice terminating their tenant's right to occupy their current housing. So a lot of families have some, well, not a lot, but some families have been confused in terms of applying for this program and thinking they're applying for emergency rental assistance, when in fact this is an eviction prevention program. And so that number 7, the eviction notice or notice terminating the tenant's right to occupy their current housing is the key trigger. Let's see here. We also, as part of that the city's $5.5 million investment in the SAVES program, the city also established a $250,000 partnership with the Public Law Center to provide legal services to participants in the program who are at risk of eviction. So we are providing legal assistance through this program. And if families aren't eligible, we are directing them to apply for our Cares for Tenants program. We do have situations where families are being harassed by their landlord, verbally harassed, where they may have been there for years and they definitely lost their lease agreement with that landlord years ago. And that landlord is not willing to send them anything in writing because that landlord knows that if he or she sent them something in writing, that they'd be legally liable to enforce that. And so with those cases where tenants are harassed but the landlord is not willing to provide an eviction notice, we do expedite their assistance through our Cares for Tenants program and ensure that that tenant gets to the top of the list, and we can prevent them family from being forced to move out verbally through verbal harassment. Again, these programs are being managed by Maricela and Mikkel, who have been working here in our office since the start of this pandemic, day in and day out. And we continue pushing forward as a team to provide emergency rental assistance and eviction prevention assistance to our team, to our community. And lastly, we just want to thank you again for the opportunity to present to the board today on our emergency rental assistance efforts, and appreciate the tremendous and partnership that we have with your team to administer our programs. Thank you guys very much.
I have a question.
Yes, of course.
Yes, I saw a news item where the governor in his May revised budget has said, hey, let's pay 100% of the back rent, not the 80-20 formula anymore. So if that actually gets approved by the legislature, how will you implement that on some of your back applications, new applications? What are your thoughts?
That's a great question, Bob. I love that question because you are not only are you on top of the latest information regarding emergency rental assistance, but you're on top of what's dominating our entire time and priority here in the office right now. So we heard that announcement last Monday. We do understand that it's subject to approval in the budget. I do think it's a bipartisan item that's going to be unanimously approved in the budget process. We discussed with our city manager just yesterday afternoon and requested approval to pivot our program. And so we are going to begin redesigning our program and relaunching the program to pay 100% of the back rent for tenants in our community. So right now we're paying $5,500 in household. We're going to relaunch the program to pay the entire back rent, 100% of the back rent, to match the governor's directive. So really appreciate that question. That's a great question, and it's we are hopeful that we can make that relaunch by July 1st. We're aiming for July 1st. But we're working as expeditiously as possible to make that pivot.
Thank you.
Judson, this is Carlos. Any word on the governor extending the moratorium against evictions?
You know, we haven't heard anything on our end. Nothing special being communicated to us at all. But our feeling is that it's not going to be extended, primarily because of what Bob referred to as the governor's announcement that they're paying 100% of the back rent. So our feeling is that it's not going to be extended past June 30th, and we're prepared for that with our SAVES program being ready to accept and process applications.
Could we get your name again, sir?
Yes, of course. My name is Judson Brown. I serve as our housing division manager.
And my name is Jack Haley, and I've listened to your presentation. We really appreciate the information. I think most of us aren't aware of the program and how extensive it is. I think that what I've seen and heard from property owners and tenants so far is a slow response time. Is there a response time that you're trying to implement with new applicants? I talked to a few landlords that say they've been in the process for months and there's been no communication. Personally, I have a residential tenant that applied. They told me right after May 1st, which is only 3 weeks ago, and they hear from somebody named Ivan, my tenant, or the city, or plenty of money. I'm just curious. I'm just concerned that it's not being put into the system to the general public in a timely manner.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. Great question. So two things on that, right? So we've had the applications open since August 17th, and we've been processing applications in order. I think most recently we're processing applications from March or April. April. So right now we're processing applications from April. So that's one thing. We're processing applications in order of the date and time that they applied. But with that said, we have 4 partners that we're working with. And of those 4 partner agencies, right now, about on average, they're approving $350,000 in assistance per week, collectively as a team. So roughly over $1.2 million in emergency rental assistance per month. But we are going to be expanding our partnership. We're reaching out to two new organizations to join our collective effort so that we can speed up that process in getting the assistance out there and allocating this assistance. For your particular tenant and any other tenants that you guys know or have who have applied, we have the funding to assist them. We can assure you we will be assisting them. And so there's no doubt that they will be served by our program after we process their application.
Okay, thank you. So if I call somebody at the city that in your presentation, maybe that could help. They could check if the application was received, or if not, maybe they could help reach out to this tenant to move this along. Would that be helpful?
Absolutely. Jack, we'd be glad to do that. If you want to call Maricela, I have her contact information here. Let me flash that slide again right here. Maricela, 667-6962. She'll be able to pull up your tenant's application and make sure that that it got submitted correctly and everything's going to be processed with it.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Judson, correction, I believe the number is 647-6962.
Oh, shoot.
Okay, I'll have to get that from you later. I'm driving, unfortunately.
Thanks, Bianca. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
It's not good.
Thank you. Any other questions? Comments? Thank you for your hard work. I know it's probably been a very crazy year plus for you, and looking like it's just going to keep going for a while. Okay. Looks like we have a youth council report.
Yes, just very briefly, the Santa Ana Therapeutic Arts Center, the Orange County Conservation Corps, and the Project Kinship are still functioning during the whole COVID thing and still continuing doing their good work serving youth. And thanks greatly to staff and Sandy Barber for helping keeping things moved along. And our next youth council meeting will be June 8th. And that's it.
Yeah, I imagine youth council was even more important, those projects during COVID. Some of those kids were so isolated otherwise. So that's good to know. Thank you, Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Any staff member comments?
Yes, I have a couple, and I'll turn it over to Carlos and Sandy. Our allocations came out from the state on Friday. The Department of Labor allocated its workforce monies to the state on par for the year previous, so we stayed flat. That's causing a lot of consternation amongst the Workforce Development Board staff up and down the state. Santa Ana did take a reduction of about $150,000. While that's minor, that's still a hit to us. And so I anticipate today's call with the state staff is going to be quite entertaining and fun, strongly worded. So we're going to see how we can try to get whole, if not more, because unemployment is still 1% greater than the County of Orange. We're at 7%. Anaheim is a little bit above us on their unemployment rate. And so our question is, how can the state of California, which had one of the largest unemployment in the nation for the entire year, remain flat. We're not understanding that.
No,
So,
I agree.
we still have some analysis on that. And also in the revised from the governor's office, there is some monies being earmarked for or targeted for workforce. And so we'll be actively talking to the state how Santa Ana can go after those funds to bring it here to our community to assist our families with their workforce needs. So we'll keep you posted as more information becomes available. Carlos, if you can give an update on the work center and how they can access the work center.
Okay, sorry guys, I can't get my camera to work, but with my face, that's not, that's probably saving grace for you guys. But in regards to what's happening at the work center, we're starting to see, guys, a small uptick in traffic and in regards to what's been happening the whole year. To be honest, traffic has been pretty flat the entire year. Roughly about 20% of where we're at pre-pandemic levels. But we have been seeing an uptick specifically at the end of April and early May, which is promising. We are now, about, it looks like just this month already, about 600 individuals have come in. So that is encouraging. We were having a heck of a time, getting people to come in. But with that said, we are still providing services remotely. One of our premier services that I wanted to share with you, and if I hadn't so already, is we are reviewing resumes online every Wednesday from 10 to 12. If somebody wants to have their resume reviewed by one of us without coming in, they can schedule an appointment online and get their resume reviewed in person. It's been a hit, and we'd like to continue that. Secondly, we are planning a job fair. The date is to be announced later, but we're planning a job fair for later this summer with the Santa Ana Library. They are a great organization that has a lot of phenomenal resources, and we want to be able to promote both our resources jointly. So that's basically it, short and brief.
And then Sandy, if you could give an update on the SAVE program.
Yes, actually, just three things I wanted to touch on because I know that Stacy did mention the youth during this pandemic. We were able to provide extensions to the YSPM providers so that they have an opportunity to service the youth up until December. We noticed that it was taking them a little bit longer with the enrollment and just the youth getting to the centers, making sure they log online. Given that everything has been virtual, it's just taking a little bit longer for them to get adjusted, plus also having to deal with school for those individuals that are either doing college and or high school. So we have given them, the providers, an opportunity to use up this current year's funding through December. We are looking at how the allocation or the cuts in the allocation for the youth is going to affect our YSPM. We're hoping to keep them whole, but I know, as Deborah said, we're looking at further analyzing that to see how we will move forward with this current year's funding for the providers. We are looking to refund them, just at what levels. That's what we're going to analyze. And then the last thing we're really excited about that has kept us tremendously busy in this last couple of weeks and days is the Stay Youth Employment Program. So I do have a flyer or information. If you want to allow me to share, I can share that information as I briefly speak about it. Bianca?
Your co-host, you can share now.
Okay. There we go. Just really briefly, I can't see what you guys are seeing, but just wanted to let you guys know we have launched our Stay Employment Program. Any youth is able to go online into sayouthjobs.com to apply for our what we've known in the past as the summer youth program. Our phone number is located on there. We are looking to serve about 120 to 150 youth this summer. As you can see, what our criteria is for the youth, they have to live in Santa Ana, 16 to 21, right to work docs. It is income eligible. We did receive funding from CDBG and cannabis benefit funds to be able to serve the community. So there are income criteria, not as restrictive as WIOA, but there is still some income criteria. They also have to have been affected by COVID. This is where, Stacy, what you said about the youth having been impacted, some of the applications that we've been seeing from the youth coming in, we asked them to check off how they've been impacted, and it hasn't just been one box that they've been checking off, but there have been multiple boxes as far as how they've been affected by COVID. So it's nice that we're able to provide these services for the youth. They will be getting paid work experience, getting paid $14 an hour for up to 140 hours this summer, which hopefully will help them and their families, is what I'm seeing, based on talking to some of the youth and the questions that they've had about the program. They do have to submit information as far as determining their eligibility, but we're hoping to launch this program and get them on board. We already have over 333 users that are in the process of applying for this program for 120 to 150 slots. So we are doing this first come, first serve based on completed applications and the income, and the eligibility criteria that I mentioned just a bit ago. We are still looking for work sites. If anybody knows any work site that would like to be a mentor during the summer and or participate in having a youth during the summer, please feel free to reach out to us. They can contact me or just the office in general, say they want to be a SAY employment work site, and they'll direct you to Araceli Delgado or to myself. Any questions? Really briefly, I know I've spoken about this program before, but we have officially launched it and it's in the works. Hopefully in the next month or so, or at our next meeting, I'll be able to give you an update on our youth enrolled and how we're doing. Any questions? That was a mouthful.
No, thanks, Sandy.
That's all from staff.
Okay. Does anybody on the board have any comments they'd like to make at this time? Events or anything coming up you want to announce?
This is Dennis with EDD, and just wanted to just update our offices here locally. We have begun our in-person appointment visits, and just ideally, if a person can be serviced virtually, then we service them virtually. There has to be a compelling reason for in-person appointments in each of the centers. And so far, our team has been able to service folks virtually. So that's working out. So there's a list of pre-screening that goes on before the clients are scheduled for an appointment. So I just wanted to update everyone on that. So this has been since the last week, we've started our in-person appointment setting. And that's at each of our centers.
I'm sure there's a lot of people who prefer still to come in and see you in person, but so I'm sure
there are, and we've been fortunate enough to resolve whatever issues they have over the phone. We do have a certain amount of people that actually need in-person services, so right. It's working out well at this point, and we'll continue until we get fully open in the future.
There you go. Well, we all hope that's coming soon. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. I think that's it. I would entertain a motion to adjourn at this time.
I move we adjourn.
Thank you, Dennis.
Any second to adjourn?
Sorry, second.
Thank you. That's Bridget. Okay. We have a motion to adjourn. Let's, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, any oppositions? All right. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate you showing up and participating. Have a great day.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great week.